Hey, Sam, I hated this movie.
I love this movie, Hunter.
Fuck you.
Hi, I'm Kuma, aka Sam.
And I'm Kumo, a.k.a. Hunter.
And we just watched a masterpiece by Canada's sweetheart, Tom Green.
Canada's sweetheart. So I technically picked this movie because you wanted to watch it.
I love this movie. I really do love this movie.
I hate that you love this movie. So
this was my 7th time watching it, Hunter.
7th?
I still love it.
What the fuck, man?
I think I've shown it to like almost all of my friends.
That's evil.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay. So
I know. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know you picked this movie for me. Your good old pal. How did you hear about the movie? Was it from me or was it from something else?
So, for Freddie Got Fingered, the first time I had ever heard about it was a Family Guy joke. And it was just the title. I don't remember the context of the episode. I just remember Peter hearing on the TV, and now we come back to Freddie Got Fingered, and Peter just screams like, "Ah!" And I don't
that's
remember.
Hilarious.
I don't remember why that was, but that was it. I had only heard of the title, and then years later, probably maybe even a decade later, I'm not sure. I watched the Red Letter Media review on it, and just going by really the out of context clips, like they reviewed the movie, they went, kind of went like plot by plot, like scene by scene and whatever.
They didn't really do a perfect synopsis of it.
Yeah, to be frank, I don't think you can, but
oh, you can.
Bullshit. I guess we'll find out. But I watched that, and going off of the out of context clips from it, it looked like a nightmare, like a train wreck that got joked into existence by an evil imp. And that imp's name was Tom Green. Now, for you, Sam, how did you find out about this this thing?
Oh my god! So I was telling you because I think it was a summer when I was in high school, because I remember before I became a working citizen of the good U.S. of A. I over summer breaks. Because, summer breaks in America, they're 2 months long.
Yeah.
2 to 3 months. You got a good time to, adjust yourself before school starts.
Yeah.
I would find myself, because this was when I, started getting into, internet groups. I remember going on, 4chan a lot. I would go on, Facebook groups, shit like that.
Yeah, you were losing your innocence. Yes.
I lost my innocence in high school, but I can't remember because I had heard about it on a website. I don't remember if it was Tumblr, if it was Facebook, 4chan, what have you. I want to say it was 4chan because I would go on because edgy kids, they go on B, the random board, all the time. That's where high schoolers who think they're super edgy go. I can't remember if it was there or another board or a Facebook group, but I saw a screen cap, a GIF of it, and it was the scene early on when Tom Green's leaving California to go back home.
Is it really what I'm thinking of? Was that your exposure to it?
It was the scene where he got the dead deer carcass over him in the truck, fucking full blast, slams into poor old Tom Green. And I was like, oh, this is funny. This is a funny GIF. Haha.
This looks funny. I gotta see this.
But I didn't actively seek it. And, I didn't know what the movie was. No one had said what movie it was from. Whatever. Same. I want to say it was the same summer. Maybe it was like a year later. I was watching HBO in the wee hours of the morning, also summer break, and I was watching some, early I think it was the movie Sex Drive. If you've ever seen that.
No, I haven't.
It's another early 2000, like late early 2000s, like 2008. Gross out, teen raunchy comedy. Anyway, I watched that, and then I think like either immediately after, or it was either immediately after I was like flipping through the channels, Freddie Got Fingered was on, and I was like, "Oh, this is a funny name for a movie. I want to see what this is about." And turns out it was something. It sure was something.
By a technicality, it is something.
But that was my first time ever watching Freddy Got Fingered, and I think that year, like that school year, I was hanging out with some of my friends who had just graduated on like a weekend. I was telling them about it, and we downloaded the movie, and we all watched together. And they thought it was the worst thing they've ever seen. And I thought it was great. I genuinely think this movie is amazing.
I can't believe that you think that. I remember bringing this up after you told that story to me the first time as we were watching.
Like when I watched it on HBO or Showtime or whatever.
When you were watching it on some movie channel. I can't imagine the type of the headspace of a person that that occurs to. Like being up at 5 a.m. and just happening upon this.
Okay, but have you ever seen the YouTube poop? This is a weird segue. Okay. Have you ever seen the YouTube poop, The Fesh Pence of Blair?
Yes, of course. It's a classic.
It is a classic. I can do you a weird mental state. I got really high off of an edible, like a few months ago. And I watched Fesh Pence of Blair. That is a weird mental state to be in. Sleep deprived at 5 a.m. watching Freddie Got Fingered is nothing compared to watching Fesh Pence of Blair stoned.
Oh, I would love to see your reaction when Jeffrey says E. Oh, God.
The part that really got me was the Uncle Phil schnishkebobber schnishkebobber. That part made me freak out. And also, can you make me a sandwich made me actually pee my pants.
Oh, God. Jesus Christ, Sam. So, getting back on topic, Freddie Got Fingered. This movie was released, really dumped into theaters on April 20th, 2001. It's a studio film. Like, this got, like, real funding, like, by a real production company. It had a wide release. This was, like, just, like, the production company was Regency Enterprises, who are, like, no joke. Like, they make and produce, like, movies. Like, real movies that people have seen. And it was distributed by 20th Century fucking Fox.
Like, for those of you who aren't fucking, like, movie nerds like we are, some of, like, the big movies they've done, they may not be great movies, but some of, like, the movies they've, like, put out have been, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I remember that being, like, a big movie. Fantastic Mr. Fox. They did Daredevil, I think.
Well, we all have our rough spots.
Yeah.
Like, they released Free Willy.
They've done a lot. They did, yeah, Free Willy. That was a good one. Natural Born Killers, another pretty good movie.
They did Fight Club.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
they've done a lot of, like, good movies, but, everything has their down moments.
And boy howdy, is Freddie Got Fingered one of them. With a budget of $14 million, roughly, it made back, again, roughly, $14.3 million. So a little bit above its budget. It technically made its money back. That is a bomb. Like,
now,
that's not good.
I'm just glancing through the Regency Enterprises Wikipedia page. I want to know your clear and honest opinion.
Okay.
What do you think was a worse low point? Was it Freddie Got Fingered, or was it Vampires Suck?
Oh, Jesus, they did that?
Mm-hmm. They did indeed.
Well, I'm gonna say, truthfully, this is actually a great segue into another talking point with this movie. Vampires Suck is a much worse low point because it's a parody movie that is completely dated and a thing you've seen a million times. It's made by the guys that did, like, Epic Movie, right? Like, that's them?
No, I think it was another company.
Oh, God, there's more than one.
That was, yeah, there were multiple, because there were the Wayans brothers, and they were the ones that did, like, Disaster. They did, like, the, Scary Movie and some other,
yeah, they did.
movies.
They did Scary Movie first, and then they kept churning them out, like, in the early to mid 2000s.
And then there was another group that did, like, Disaster Movie, I think another teen movie, and superhero movie, and then Vampires Suck.
Oh, God.
Was a totally different company.
I mean, I do think that one's worse because... So, the thing I wanted to talk about is that... To be fair, I'm using Wikipedia for this. Wikipedia is not an amazing source, but sometimes they have links to things that people say, so I will count this. I do research, clearly. Freddie Got Fingered is considered by, I guess, a few people to be one of the worst, like, movies of all time. And
we can both agree it's not.
No. Now, does that mean it's good?
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Listen to me, the person that has a website for reviewing movies.
Okay.
No, it's not a good movie. Not at all. But it's not even close to being one of the worst things I've ever seen. Even worst films of all time. Even, like, commercially. Because there are things in this movie that work and make sense. Like, the camera work, you meant, like, the camera work is fine. Like,
in some parts.
But with some of those parts, we'll get into it when we actually, like, talk about the damn movie. But, like, with some of the errors, I can't tell if they were intentional or not. I don't know. This is a weird thing, and it's something I'm going to parrot from the Red Letter Media video. I can't tell if this movie is the joke. Like, if this whole thing, it existing is the joke.
Well, I can't remember if this was in the Red Letter Media review, because it's been probably like a year since I last watched it. But like when we were just finished watching, because we had, for clarification, we just, like, literally maybe 20 minutes ago just finished the movie.
Yeah, we just, like, wrapped up.
Every early 2000s movies, they did, like, the deleted scenes that were like, oh, this doesn't fit in the movie, or, like, little bloopers, stuff like that. There's a blooper at the very end where it's Tom Green after the fucking dead deer scene, and he gets up and he just mumbles, "What the fuck are we doing?"
Which got a genuine laugh out of me.
And it's one of those things where it's like, is the movie supposed to be a joke? Was it a dare? We don't know, and I don't know if Tom Green's ever gone on record saying, yes, this movie was a dare.
Oh, of course
yes.
Not. Like,
what if it is? Because what year did Scary Movie come out? 2000, 1990, something like that? Like early 2000s, late 90s?
I can look that up real quick.
What if? Now here's my theory. What if it's a parody? Not of, like, an amalgamation of movies, like I Know What You Did Last Friday the 13th. or or what is it? Shriek if you know what I did. If I know what I did the last Friday the 13th. That
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
or Scary Movie or I think those were like the only two at the time that were like an amalgamation of like movies.
Well, technically Airplane, if you want to get technical.
Was that a parody of a genre or a movie?
It's a parody. Probably a little of both. Mostly a genre, I think, but it is still in the realm of like parody. But you're talking about like a fusion of different movies.
No, like those two that I mentioned were like a parody of, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Friday the 13th, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What if... Now, here's my theory. Just a game theory. Matt, Pat, don't sue. What if Freddie Got Fingered is one of, like, the early progenitors of, like, the gross-out parody, like, genre parody movies. Like superhero movie, disaster movie, stuff like that. Where it's not based off of one thing. It's
based off like an idea.
Like, because think about it. By the time Freddy Got Fingered come out, we had, American Pie had like just released like either a year or a year or two before, like, and that was one of the big like gross out movies. I would say like also there's something about Mary would fit under gross out like movies.
Yeah.
But what if Freddy Got Fingered was like looking at all of those movies and saying, "Let's outdo it, but as a joke."
I mean, I can see that. I mean, like, there's literally a scene in the movie where there's just a guy with a cast, and he's literally giving the finger to the audience.
And then there's also like, something about Mary. There's the scene where she gets the cum in her hand and she uses like hair gel. American Pie, he fucks a pie. It's gross out, and I'm using air quotes very lightly, but it's not like, oh, I want to vomit, like gross out.
This movie is.
Yes, because
Jesus Christ.
Just early on, off the top of my head, his buddy Derek, he's skateboarding on the ramp and he breaks his leg, and it keeps zooming in, not like zooming in like they're manually doing it. It keeps cutting to just a close-up of his broken leg with the bone sticking out, and it just keeps cutting to that scene.
You told me not to look at that.
I warned you not to look at that. I gave you like...
You did, and I didn't listen. That's on me, but that, like, good God, like, literally, I can't understate how uncomfortable that scene is, because yes, he's laying there with like a broken leg, and this is a thing Freddy Got Fingered does a lot, and it's that it does like the violence like shtick, like, oh, someone gets hurt or something like that, and you expect them to like cut away from it, like a movie, like a normal movie would probably do. Instead,
like in a normal movie, if this was like a normal movie for the time, sorry to cut you off, his friend would break his leg. It would probably do like a close up of the leg, but not like the bone sticking out.
Yeah.
And then the scene would end, or it would like cut away, and like the scene would like continue to move along. Freddy Got Fingered really likes to hold on its gross out scenes,
and like exemplify them too. Like they will go further and further and further until it is done. So like the bone is sticking out. We probably should have really started with the beginning of the movie, but fuck it. This movie doesn't deserve my brain power. I can't think right now, Sam. I can't do it.
This movie is one of those where you really have to
just talk. Just
yeah.
fucking talk about it. But his friend is laying there, who, by the way, I thought he was his brother until Sam corrected me. But the guy's laying there with his, like, I can't remember if it was his knee or just his leg, but the bone.
It was his femur.
It was his
like
femur.
His shin.
Like it's just sticking out, and Tom Green's just like looking at it, like screaming, doing his funny shit. Oh my God, your bone is out! Oh, my friend, your bone is out!
the best character of the movie, Rip Torn, is just
God.
screaming profusely.
And then he just throws a book, and it just lands right on the fucking bone.
It's the skateboard. It's the skateboard.
Oh, it's the skateboard. My mistake. Something worse.
They had just built a ramp. Because Tom Green is like, he's 28 years old, he's still living with his parents, and he's just a deadbeat loser. He's really like the personification of extreme, fuck you, dad.
The starving artist.
The starving artist, screw you, dad, extreme, I'm going to skateboard in a mall. Just an amalgamation personification of
early 2000s culture.
Yeah, so they build a half pipe, and his buddy wipes out. The board goes flying. Rip Torn, the dad, just chucks the skateboard at his friend's leg, and it just bounces off, breaking it more, by the way, making more bone poke out.
And this whole time, like, he realizes what he does, to be fair, and he goes down there, and he just yells at Tom Green to, like, help him. But, like, before he does that, Tom Green is just, like, messing with the leg, biting at the bone like a wild animal. And everyone's just screaming, and they're all freaking out, and then scene just cuts.
It doesn't wrap it up anything. It just it leaves you hanging. Like, now, what the fuck? It just leaves you there hanging.
And it does it so much. Rewinding back a bit to like near the beginning of the movie, Tom Green is just arriving. Is like just waking up in his house with nobody there. I'll get back to that in a second because that's a part of the movie that bothers me, and I'm mad that it does, but it does. But he comes out of his house, and you meet this bright-eyed little boy, this little funny man, this child, and he's just saying, "Oh, hi, Gordy, how are you doing?" And he goes away.
You think it's gonna be a cute scene?
And yeah, he's just this little kid that actually likes Gordy. And then
kid trips and eats shit.
He eats total shit. This is after he comes back. I admit I fucked up the timeline a little bit, but like, once he comes back, he has a car.
A LeBaron.
A LeBaron? Yes, a LeBaron. I only see one LeBaron here. Why aren't there two? Huh? Mom and Dad love me more. There's only one LeBaron. Do you see another LeBaron?
Anyway,
it's super funny. It's super funny, you guys. It's great.
The kid eats shit and just face plants into the side, and you think like, normally in like a slapstick humor kind of way, the kid will get up and there might be like a bruise on his head. No, the kid is letting out this blood-curdling scream, just agonizingly painful,
and he's just bleeding out of his mouth,
and nose, just blood everywhere.
It's awful. It's so bad. And that's a running joke with the movie, is that this kid just gets fucked up.
We'll get to that later.
But going back to the thing that was bothering me about Tom Green leaving his house. It's that
we should like probably just like try to do like a quick synopsis of the movie before we get into your gripes and why I love this movie.
Yes, you're right. We should. So Tom Green, Gordy. I don't remember his last name, but his name's Gordy.
I think it's just Gordy.
He's a struggling artist. He still lives with his parents. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just this kid's kind of a fucking dickhead, and he's constantly like drawing because he wants to be an animator. His dad.
It's Brody. I am looking at it. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. It's Brody. It's Gordy Brody.
Gordy Oh my God, Tom Green, fuck you. So but the movie, he starts up like, because he's about to move to LA, because he's getting a job, but he's also trying to pitch his cartoon to, I guess technically like this universe's equivalent of like Nickelodeon or Viacom or whatever.
I would say
MTV more
Fox.
than likely.
Like more, I think he's going for more adult style cartoons. Yeah,
probably. But his dad doesn't approve. His mother's coddling. His brother is there.
They approve in the beginning. His dad does at least. Only because his dad just wants Gordy out of the fucking house.
Yeah, because he's working at the cheese factory, the cheese sandwich factory.
He doesn't have a job. He doesn't have a job in the very beginning.
I thought he was going there to move to work at that place.
Well, yeah, his dad just wants him out of the house because he doesn't work and he lives at home.
Yeah.
And then yes, he does move to Hollywood, and he works at a cheese sandwich shop, and it's called Hollywood Cheese Sandwich Company.
No, he works at the factory first.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's the factory. It's the cheese sandwich factory.
Yeah.
And all they do, it's a conveyor. It's like a toy conveyor belt where they like assemble everything, but it's just cheese sandwiches. And all he has to do, all Tom Green has to do is just put cheese on a bread, and it's Tom Green. He does the funny fuck up where he just
grabs
he cranks it up to 11.
Yeah, like a piece of salami, just puts it between his legs.
I'm sexy, aren't I sexy?
He's just screaming, and he's just standing on top of the conveyor belt, and nobody gives a shit. Nope, everyone no-sells it.
Like, he's on the conveyor belt, like, squatting with the salami log, like, as, like, a dick. It's, like, between his legs, supposed to be a dick. And he's just going on the conveyor belt, and it doesn't, like, hit the old woman that is working on the belt, but it does just, like, it touches her face, and she just moves slowly. She just lets it happen. She doesn't like move out of the way. She just like goes with it. Like, okay, this is just a paycheck. I gotta get out of this movie.
And then everyone just breaks for lunch, and then he just says, "Well, is everybody leaving?"
And that's all we see of the sandwich factory.
And he doesn't get fired. He's the one that quits.
Mm-hmm.
It's astounding. But after that, he goes to I don't remember the name of the place, so I'm just going to call it MTV. He goes to MTV.
I think it's like called Atomic Cartoons. Because there's all like the radioactive waste.
Yes.
It's like Atomic Cartoon or something like that.
And he goes in. He's just a general menace. He completely ignores the metal detector and this poor security officer just trying to do his job. He's just saying, "Where are you going? What are you doing?"
Oh, it's Japan 4. I have to go to Japan 4. It's a package for the boss at Japan. He doesn't know the guy's name. He doesn't know like the boss of Atomic Cartoons. He just calls him the boss.
Which of course he doesn't. He probably didn't even know this place existed. He just drove past it and looked at it just by happenstance.
I think he does in like the opening shot because he doesn't specify. He never specifies when he's talking to his parents or his brother Freddie, the titular character in which Scott Fingered.
We'll get back to him.
He never mentions like what company he's going to go work at for the cartoon. He just says, "I'm going to California to make a cartoon." And I think when he's on the way, I'm like pretty sure when he's on the way to the sandwich factory and the like opening, it's not the opening shot.
Like the first few minutes.
Yeah, like the first few minutes. I think he does like drive by the cartoon like studio.
Yeah, he does. But he had no idea it was there. It was just on his way to work.
I'm pretty sure he was just like he figured like if I go to California, there has to be like animation studios and like TV like studios everywhere, and it'll be no problem.
Do you see what this movie does? Do you see what it's doing? It's making us overthink about this fucking nonsensical Looney Tune trash fire of a film.
It's not a trash fire, but we'll get to that.
All right. So he gets to the office, like he bypasses the security guard,
gets into the elevator. Security guard doesn't even attempt to stop him. He's just rambling on about Japan 4. Like, that's all he says in the scene. Just Japan 4, Japan 4.
Like he's just like I don't give a shit, and he just lets him go. Like he doesn't care.
And he even I think he was curious about the fucking like line in the script because he just says to himself in a confused tone, "Japan 4?" Because and then the scene ends, and then he's on the next floor looking for the boss. And Drew Barrymore makes a cameo, because for those who didn't know, Drew Barrymore, star of many movies, such as Donnie Darko and Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels is a very important one for this specific fact.
But she makes a cameo because they were married at the time. They were only married for a year.
Which is funny because going by when this movie was released, it was released in 2001.
April 20th.
They were literally together in this. This was the perfect storm because this is literally when they started getting married. Like they were newlyweds, or maybe at the time of filming they were together.
So it was probably like their honeymoon phase still. Like they're still in love.
If this was filmed like maybe started filming a few months later, that cameo wouldn't have happened. I guarantee you. Like straight up. And even then, this feels like on Drew Barrymore's part, this feels like a favor.
I would just like to point out, because I'm using Wikipedia, and Wikipedia not a reliable source, like we mentioned. It says that they were dating. They got engaged in July of 2000, and married later that year. It says that they were in the 2 movies together, because Tom Green makes an appearance in Charlie's Angels.
Yep, yes, he does. Is it the first one or the second one?
It's the first one. I'm guessing
liked.
Because they filed for divorce in December of 2001. So they weren't even married a whole year.
Oh my god, so we got finalized in 2002.
Yeah, it was finalized October of 2002.
That means that this was filmed in such a small window. Oh my god.
They were probably engaged at the time. I don't think they would have been married. They were probably engaged.
No, you're right. You're right. But even then, like, that's still a pretty damn small window for, like, something like this. And the funniest part about this is that after, I know we're harping on the Drew Barrymore thing, but it's a very interesting talking point when talking about Tom Green. During this scene, he's trying to find out where the boss is, because she tells him, oh, he's out to lunch. So what Gordy tells her is that, oh, his wife is dead. And this big Oscar-worthy scene between him and Drew Barrymore just starts, which I am convinced was all improv. All of it. She's breaking down. He's faking breaking down, but then he tries to put the moves on her.
He literally makes a move, and I think the only characters in this movie that act out of place are the supporting cast, because they act normal.
Yeah, they act like real people. Because
he makes a move on her. I think he leans in for a kiss or something, or asks her out on a date, and she goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" She says, "A woman just died." I think those are her exact words.
A woman is dead.
And he says, so innocently and nonchalantly, "Well, I thought we could grieve together."
Look under the star, the light of the stars. They're talking about the dead, the dead woman, the woman that's dead.
And she just screams. She doesn't say anything. She makes like a fucking ogre blah, blah, noise, and just says "fuck you" and double flips him the bird.
And just yells for security to come get this guy out. And I made a point. I even wrote it in my notes. That felt too real. That felt like we saw something we shouldn't have.
It felt like improv, but also wow, was this them, Drew Barrymore thinking, wow, this engagement was a mistake, and that's why their official marriage only lasted maybe half a year?
I mean, and we say that, but she's seen at the end of the credits. It's literally I think the last thing you see. It's her and Tom Green just sharing a moment. They're making funny noises and faces, and then they just share a passionate, love-filled kiss. They look happy to be together, which is interesting in hindsight and interesting in the context of this film. But
anyway, moving on.
He finds the guy at this fancy restaurant.
Who I would like to point out is Anthony Michael Hall from such hit movies as Sweet 16, Breakfast Club, and Weird Science. He was a fucking golden boy of the 80s. I think he always got with Molly Ringwald in every movie he was in. And he's here in Freddie fucking Got Fingered.
Oh my god. Again, remember, $14 million budget. I guarantee you it mainly went to the cast of this film.
So he's out at lunch, and this is where we get the famous scene of the guy in the cast, and everything is wrapped up except his thumb, his index finger, his ring finger, and his pinky. So his middle finger is just erect. He is literally flipping the audience the bird.
And it's literally a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Like, you're not going to notice it unless you know it's there.
But it happens twice, because it happens as Tom Green is entering the restaurant.
You're right.
And when they're leaving, because it's just there in the background.
But he comes in. He's dressed like a constable for some reason. I'm guessing that is a leftover costume just from the movie studio that he just found. And just said, this would be so funny, and it was. He comes in.
He might have asked, like, oh, can I use this? Like, am I allowed to use this? Do I have to pay extra for it? And the studio was like, fuck it.
Just give it to him. Just let him do what he wants.
He's from Canada.
This is probably funny to him. Hey, it's what the kids are into, is what the 60-year-old movie executive probably said as he was watching this this monstrosity unfold before him. So he comes in. He's asking for the movie, not the movie executive, the company owner, like, have you seen this man? Have you seen this man? And he sees the guy.
Are you David? Are you David? Just everyone sitting down at the restaurant trying to have a nice lunch. He's just hounding them. Are you David? And because that's the name. It's David. It is David something. I don't
he does in fact find David. And David is just constantly trying to just get this weirdo away from him.
Oh, and the naming conventions. It's David Davidson.
Oh my, fuck you, Tom Green. So he finds him. They go outside. He's just talking with him, begging him to look at his fucking drawings. And he does. And what he does is something that no normal person would ever do in this situation. He gives
Mr. David Davidson, first of all, he criticizes them normally. Like, he says, "There's nothing here. These are just like concept sketches." Like, he's giving him like actual helpful advice.
Like constructive. He's being a little dickish about it, but he's giving him constructive criticism. And Tom Green reacts by pulling a gun out and putting it into his mouth.
He gives the gun a fucking blowjob.
And Dave, I almost called him Pete Davidson, and I don't know why. David Davidson tells him, like, no, you don't have to do that. Like, just, you have to work hard. That's what you have to do. You work hard to improve your craft.
Spend days, weeks, months, years on this.
And what Tom Green says is just, I don't have to blow my brains out with this gun?
And then one of my favorite lines from this movie is Dave Davidson says, "No, you try hard, and then if you fail, you blow your fucking brains out." Like that is one of my favorite fucking lines in this movie. He's just saying, if you don't succeed, kill yourself. Who cares?
Jesus. And after that, because he also tells him to quit his, I forget the exact verbiage he uses, but I believe it's along the lines of shithole sandwich job.
Because he thinks. Because Tom Green is saying, I work at a cheese sandwich factory. And if you say that to a normal person, they're going to say, what are you fucking talking about? That sounds like a joke.
And he does say that at first. He says, all right, you're messing with me. I have to leave. But no, I'm serious. I work at a cheese sandwich shop.
So.
And he tells him to quit. He drives off, and Tom Green just stands there. And he drives home.
And he came from Portland to California, which is, I would assume, Oregon to California. That's probably like a day and a half drive. Maybe.
Keep talking. I am going to look that up.
But, we forgot to mention, because we're talking about, like, a little out of order. The beginning, it starts off, like, kind of heartfelt. You know, in the beginning, there's like a skateboard scene. Tom Green like does extreme shit. It's the early 2000s. You have to put that in like a comedy movie.
Yeah, like he's riding away from the cops. He's just being a menace, but he's doing fun skateboard tricks in the mall because that's all we had back then, kids, was just malls and skateboarding, and all to rock.
There were no Switches, no PS4s, no Fortnite.
Just malls. Just malls as far as the eye could see, filled with Banana Republics.
So he meets up with his parents and his brother, and they bought him a ticket to go to California. And they're saying like, "Oh, you make us proud." They get him. They say his dad says, "Oh, you're not going on that bus." Like a weird sort of 180. Like, "Oh, you're supporting me, but now you don't want me to go."
Yeah.
He goes, "Yeah, I don't want you to go on that bus.
But
here's a LeBaron."
But you bought me this ticket to California. And yeah, they get him a car, like an actual vehicle for this chump, and his brother, rightfully so. Like
we did earlier, because it says number one son on the license plate. That's why.
What about me?
Yeah,
legitimate, genuine reaction from this poor guy. This poor guy actually doing his best. Just what about me? Why does he get?
And it's a back and forth of I'm the best son. There's only one LeBaron.
This is that was that thing I was just mumbling about a few minutes back, was just the LeBaron thing, because he just says, well, if they love you so much, where's your LeBaron? And it just goes on for 30 seconds.
And then there's kind of a sweet scene where it's Rip Torn, Tom Green says, "You make me proud, son. I'll make you proud." It's just a back and forth, and it's kind of sweet. And then Tom Green starts to drive off, and then some pedestrian walks in front of him, and the first thing to come out of Tom Green's mouth is, "Get the fuck out of the way!"
And this is where the title of this podcast came from. Tom Green then proceeds to, in very delicate words, just crank this horse off as viciously as he can.
He sees a breeding farm, and the farmers are they're getting ready to get semen from a horse to inseminate another horse. Tom Green, rightfully so, as any American would, gets out of the car, pulls over on the side. He doesn't even pull over. He just stops in the middle of a 2-lane road.
Just completely.
He stops, gets out, and he just starts beating the horse off. He just starts masturbating a horse.
Just screaming the whole time, just saying, "I'm a cowboy, Daddy!
I'm a farmer, Daddy. It is, I'm a farmer, Daddy."
My apologies. It's I'm a farmer, Daddy. I'm sorry, Sam. I was too busy focusing on the visage. This is not... I don't think this was fake, either. Tom Green, gloveless, just fucking goes to town.
Well,
having the time of his fucking life.
Sorry for anyone who doesn't want to picture this, but he's not actually getting the horse off. He's sort of just vibrating his hand. He's not actually doing the motion. He's just sort of vibrating it. He's not fully committing to the bit.
It's not much better. It's really not that much better. And keep in mind, like Sam said, we've been jumping around a bit, and we apologize. We'll get back on track after this.
This is just a movie where one thing pops in your head and you have to talk about it. And you get reminded of...
Yeah, because things just happen in this movie. There's very little cohesion to it. It's just scene after scene of watching Tom Green realize what he can get away with a movie executive's money. And
so...
going back a bit again, and I apologize, this was the nitpicky bullshit that I wanted to bring up. So Tom Green wakes up in his house to go to the bus station where his family is at. Why is that the thing that happens? Because Tom Green is still living with his parents. Why didn't they all go together?
Because they wanted to surprise him with the
car. Okay.
Yeah, they wanted to surprise him. That's my theory.
The funny part is that I brought that up while we were watching, and you just told me, Hunter, you're thinking way too hard about this.
Which is funny because I think way too hard about this movie. I go too in depth mentally.
It's ridiculous. It's legitimately ridiculous. But getting back on track. So Tom Green quits his sandwich job and goes back home his mom kind of no-sells it. Like, it was like she was kind of just expecting him, and he just shows up.
She tells the dad, Rip Torn, I think she says Gordy lost his job, or Gordy quit his job and he's back home. Be nice about it. I think that's something along the lines.
I might have missed it. It's very hard not to talk about this movie as you're watching it, because you're just going, what the fuck is happening? What the hell is this? But he gets back home. They're having roast beef sandwiches.
No, it's roast beef, but it's on top. It's like a casserole dish full of mac and cheese or corn. It's some yellow food.
Which
roast
doesn't
beef
look...
sliced.
Which that's not a bad dinner. But Tom Green, the little motherfucker, Gordy, just says,
Canada's sweetheart.
I don't want this. I don't want. I'm gonna eat a chicken sandwich.
Oh, we forgot to mention on his way back from California, before he enters the house, after he gets hit by the truck, when he puts the dead deer carcass. By the way, he tauntauns it. If anyone's seen Star Wars, he cuts open the dead deer.
I forgot that's what happened after that. That was the scene that imprinted this movie in your mind.
And I thought it was funny.
I did not. The whole time, I saw the dead deer, and when he played the clip, the voice thing of David telling him, you got to
get inside these animals.
Get inside these animals. I immediately, without missing a beat, I just go, no, don't tauntaun this. Don't do this. And he does, in fact, tauntaun it. And I swear to God, they got a real deer carcass. Because those guts just spill out.
Well, the blood looked faked. It looked the red looked too vibrant. It looked like vibrant. It looked. So what they could have done is just made a fake deer and just filled it up with actual intestines.
Yeah, but it's so visceral. Then he just puts the actual carcass on him, and you can see the detailing, and it's so fucked up.
But after that scene, he gets hit by a truck, and he goes home. He just leaves. On the way home, he's still covered in blood, by the way, in the LeBaron, which I'm not a car guy, but I assume that's a good car for the time, a nice sports car or whatever.
Again, it's probably where most of the budget went.
Probably. But he's eating a sandwich covered in blood, and he passes by the same horse farm from when he jacked up a horse, and it's just a scene of two horses having sex.
It's out of nowhere, and it holds on it.
And it just keeps cutting to Tom Green covered in dead deer guts and blood, and he's eating a sandwich grossly, he's spitting up food, and he's just laughing watching two horses breed.
Jesus fucking Christ. I forgot I forgot that's where that scene happened. Oh my God.
The magical thing about this movie, Hunter may disagree, but the magical thing about Freddy Got Fingered is you can take a scene from the very beginning of the movie and move it to the very end, and it won't feel out of place.
No, it won't. It literally feels like a film made out of context clips. If you follow any out of context video account on Twitter, it's like they took a whole account and just edited it together to make a film, and just filmed the story sequences after. That's what it feels like. But he's back home.
They have the dinner scene. He pulls out a chicken sandwich. Rip Torn just takes the sandwich and just chucks it on the ground. The dogs eat it, and then after that is when we get the broken leg scene. The fan favorite, the broken leg scene. Pretty funny scene.
I'm gonna be real. I'm blanking on what happens next. This film has fried my brain to the point of no return, and I may need to take a nap after this.
And that's why I'm here. So, the scene, his friend breaks his leg. There's screaming. There's yelling. People are throwing shit. Tom Green is biting on a bone that's exposed. It cuts to the hospital scene. It goes immediately to the hospital scene.
Oh my God! Yes, the hospital scene.
He's looking for his buddy Derek, something along those lines. he's looking for his friend, and he sees him. He goes into the hospital room,
and for some reason his friend is in the maternity ward.
Well, I don't know if we don't know what ward they're in, because it's...
I have to imagine, because he's the only male there.
Well, it's because it's him with the broken leg. It is the pregnant woman next to him, and then it's the two older ladies across from him. But they'll
come into play in a bit.
They don't look pregnant, and they don't seem to have any broken bones.
But I guess that raises an even better question: why is this woman not in the maternity ward? And then
why does she not have her own room to herself? Why is she sharing it with four different American healthcare? Am I right?
Oh my god, buddy! Beautiful. Yes, political commentary.
It is a social commentary. Tom Green was ahead of his time.
We've become a true podcast. We're talking about the American healthcare system.
But
during
he's
this,
fucking...
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, because you interrupting me reminded me. He meets this lady. He meets the receptionist, I want to say.
Oh yes. The girlfriend.
The best character of the movie.
I would say the funniest character in the movie for the worst possible reasons. He meets the girlfriend, and she's doing whatever. I think she's like flipping a pill bottle. I don't remember.
No, it's like a coffee creamer cup.
Yes, the coffee. Oh,
she's playing like flip cup, where she's trying to like flip the coffee creamer by like pressing down on it.
Her record is 7 in a row.
They make a big deal out of that.
Yeah.
And he's like flirting with her, trying to get like to go on a date with her, and she gives him a number. Which, by the way, it doesn't show it fully, but you see like the first like 3-4 digits, and it's not like a normal movie number where it's like 555 1234.
Like an area code that looks fake.
No, it's literally like 867, and then you see like another number, and they just cut away because I think Tom Green was like, "Oh, let's put a real number." In this movie to see if anyone can figure it out.
We theorized it might have been the producer's actual phone number.
I wanted to think it was like Drew Barrymore's or something.
Oh my god!
What if this movie caused a rift in their relationship? This movie and Charlie's Angels caused a rift in their relationship, and he was just pissed at her.
I wouldn't or she was pissed at him. Because she was still a big actress at the time, and she's just in this.
Yeah,
her
she
name
was
is attached.
She was like at the top of her game during this movie.
Like, you can't have a movie like this on like a record because that makes you look undesirable. Because this movie gets slammed by the critics. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Who would have guessed?
But he nails I guess nails the dating interview process basically. Like, she's like, "Oh yeah, we'll go on a date," and then
plot twist.
Oh, bad news, fellas. She's in a wheelchair.
But that'll come into play later. So he's
it's played like a joke, which is...
It's played to be uncomfortable, because Tom Green doesn't he doesn't crack a joke. He doesn't do like the Tom Green repeat thing where he goes, "Oh, you're in a wheelchair. It's a wheelchair for your legs. He doesn't do that. He's just silent. He's just quiet.
On. And he brings it up to his friend once he finally meets him in this mystery room at this nightmare hospital, and he's just talking to him. And he's saying, "Well, I didn't know that she was in a wheelchair." Like it's a fucking, bad thing.
And then while this is going on, the pregnant woman next to him is just screaming at them, "Can you be quiet? I'm pregnant."
Like that has anything to do with it.
And he starts fucking with his friend's leg who's in a cast. He's shaking it up and down. And of course that's going to hurt. And he starts screaming. Tom Green is screaming. And she screams at the top of her lungs, "Keep it down, I'm pregnant." And then she immediately goes into labor.
And then the funny ensues. What happens is that Tom Green goes up to this pregnant woman. The pregnant woman is just screaming, pleading with this man to get a doctor. "Oh, don't worry, I'm a doctor." And she's just telling him, "No, you fucking aren't.
Because what he does is he on her like bed frame, there's a doctor's coat. Like, what doctor would just leave that there? And he puts it on, and he's delivering the baby, and she delivers it successfully. But
Thank
he doesn't have
God.
like any tools. He doesn't have any fucking tools
No
to like properly
gloves.
deliver the baby.
No gloves, no like.
So instead of using
Anything.
like doctor's scissors to like, cut the umbilical cord, he uses his fucking teeth.
That was hard to watch. That was bad. That was really bad. And then
And he's like,
afterwards,
he's holding the baby, and the baby's covered in blood, but the baby's quiet, and the woman just says, why is my baby quiet? And he just looks at the baby and looks at her and just mumbles, he's sleeping. And she just screams, wake him up. So he takes the baby by the umbilical cord and just starts swinging it around, getting like placenta and blood fucking everywhere. All the while, the two fucking women that are in the room, I don't know what like ethnicity or culture they're from, but I think one of them was playing like a tambourine or something, and they're singing this like song.
yeah, they're just singing and playing music, and that is what's accompanying this scene the entire time it's happening, while Tom Green is just swinging this baby over his head and getting blood everywhere.
Doing a Tom Green like scream speech, like, "Oh, I gotta wake the baby, the baby." The woman's fearing for her child's life is screaming. His buddy Derek is like freaking out, like, "Oh God, there's blood all over me." And the two other women are just like singing a song, and then it doesn't like he just starts swinging it, and it just cuts to him holding the baby, crying. It doesn't like he doesn't slow down, like grab the baby. He doesn't like put the baby in his hands. It just immediately cuts to Tom Green covered in blood, a real fucking baby, we assume.
An actual baby. That baby was real. It was moving.
It was no animatronic.
Hair, and he just gently hands the baby over to this mother, and the mother is just holding this beautiful like child, the life that she gave, like that she brought into this world. And you're just thinking like, what the fuck just happened?
And then it just cuts immediately to a doctor escorting Tom Green out. And he's not covered in blood anymore, by the way. I don't know if you caught that. He wasn't covered in blood. He was cleaned up.
I didn't, but it does not surprise me at all. I guarantee you that scene was filmed on a different day.
Or it was filmed beforehand or something.
Probably, yeah. Because he probably looked exactly the same as he did when he first met the girlfriend. Who I really can't remember her name. Is her name Addie?
Betty.
It's
Betty.
Eddie. Okay.
Betty.
Okay. Oh my God.
But he's being escorted out, and he's like saying like, "Oh, I'm a hero. I saved the day. I'm a hero." And Betty's like, "What?"
I saved the day, Betty. I saved the day. That's
Betty's
what I
like,
did.
"What
I saved the day."
Betty's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And he's like, "Oh, this hospital doesn't appreciate heroes for whatever reason." And then I'm like pretty sure it either it I can't remember if they go back home after, because like there's no transition half the time from scenes. A scene will happen and stop, and then a new scene will happen. So forgive me if I'm a little foggy.
But I think you're forgiven. I barely remember shit. I remember scenes, but I don't remember any of them in like sequential order. Barely. Because it really does just cut between scene after scene after scene with just things happening in them. And they almost have no bearing.
It's kind of magical almost.
That's one way to put it. But eventually, we're probably skipping over some stuff. But
I think after the hospital scene, he goes to Betty's house.
Yep, he does, and this is when you find out three very important things about Betty. Betty is trying to create a rocket-based wheelchair. So
she just wants to go fast. She's
she's not letting her disability get her down. She's trying to find and invent ways to move quickly, which is very admirable, and I would say very grounded kind of.
But
it's mostly played for laughs because the rockets are so extreme. But she has a goal, and it's something you can identify with.
But then she kind of ruined the scene. Is ruined because she says she likes rockets because they're long, they're hot, and they're hard. All while she's looking up at Tom Green in his eyes, and while she's saying that, she just moves down and looks at his dick. She just slowly glances down at his dick while saying long, hard, and hot.
And this is when you find out fact number 2 about Betty. She really likes sucking dick.
That's fact number 3. Fact number 2 is she has a bamboo stick that she wants Tom Green to beat the shit out of her legs with.
Oh, God. That happened before?
Yeah, that happened before.
I thought that happened after. Oh,
no,
Jesus!
Because she keeps calling him a pussy.
Oh yeah, what? You're not gonna puss out, are you? You're not a pussy.
Oh, don't be a pussy, Gord. Hit my leg, and he just he starts getting more violent with it, and I think I don't remember if she says something to him, but he's just like winding up farther back. All while my shit just fell over. He's winding up farther back, all while she's letting out moans of pleasure. And he whacks her in the face with this bamboo stick.
And she rightfully, she just freaks out. The first thing she says is just, "What the fuck, Gordy?"
And he's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Tom Green. I'm sorry." And then she just gets really excited, and she just wants to suck his dick.
And he's freaking out about it. He's like, "Oh, well, I thought we could maybe just, go for a walk." I can't
walk.
Get it?
Oh, maybe we could go. We could maybe go for a roll instead. And she says, "I'd rather just suck."
I'd rather just suck.
And I want everyone to know she doesn't look happy saying those lines. She looks uncomfortable.
The actress, and I apologize if she's listening to this. I highly doubt it. She's a successful actress right now. She's in plenty of projects. But the actress, Marissa, it's either Coughlin or Coolin. I again apologize if I'm messing that up.
I think it's Marissa Coolin.
She looks uncomfortable with every word that she's saying, and I felt so bad. I felt so bad for her. Literally everything that comes out of her mouth is joined with an expression that looks like pure. You know what? I'll go as far as to say contempt. She looks like she's
for Tom Green.
Contempt for Tom Green, contempt for the script, probably contempt for her agent. And she looks like she is not having fun. And
she hesitates really a lot when she's delivering her lines too.
Which Tom Green probably thought was just funny as hell.
The funniest shit he's ever seen.
Better than anything he could probably imagine. Because literally, this makes the thing she's saying funnier, right? She looks like she hates it. Oh, it's so funny. It's so funny that she hates it. Fuck you, Tom Green.
And then she's stripping him down. He has an umbilical cord from the doctor's office that he taped from the baby because he thought it was. He says he thinks it's cool. He said he thought it was funny or it's neat or something like that. And then she's just like, "Oh, that's kind of quirky. I'm gonna suck your dick." And it just it cuts away, and it just while I assume the fellatio is happening. It's on a picture of a timeline of the Eiffel Tower being built, and I'm pretty sure anyone that
know what that
yeah,
means.
If you think about it hard enough, it's a euphemism for an erection, for a
God.
penis.
Yeah, it's really funny. It's supposed to exemplify his cock. That's what it's supposed to be. It's just his hog just getting really riled up for this woman to just suck him off like there's no tomorrow. What the fuck? What the fuck happens next? I don't remember.
There are some nothings. Oh, my favorite scene actually. So it in between all these hijinks, there's a lot of family time, just scenes at the house with Gordy's dad, Gordy's mom, Freddie, and then Gordy. they're having breakfast. Like they're all about to leave for work, except for Gordy because he doesn't have a job and
I just remembered what you're about to say, and this one actually is one that got a genuine laugh out of me.
The mom, or no, Rip Torn is like, oh, where the fuck is Gordy at? Because every line Rip Torn says is either followed by some kind of slur towards homosexuals or an ableist slur.
And I again argued, like most things in this film, I said it was probably improv because it just falls out of his mouth like effortlessly.
I personally don't think it's improv. I think it was in the script. But he's like, where the fuck is Gordy? And then his mom's like, oh, he's in the shower. And he says something along the lines of like, oh, he's been in the shower for like 30 damn minutes. So he goes to the shower, and it's in the basement because that's where Gordy lives. And he's like fucking with like the water heater, and he like makes it like freezing cold. And he doesn't hear anything from Gordy, so he's like, what the fuck is he doing in there? So he opens the door.
Just
and
breaks it open.
He breaks it open. Gordy is just in the shower in a scuba suit, just staring up at the faucet, letting the water hit him in the face.
Yeah, he's just saying something like, "Oh, I'm a scuba diving. I'm looking for treasure," and he just gets like soap. Look, I found treasure. That's not treasure. That's just soap on a rope. And then Rip Torn just grabs him and just fucking pulls him out, breaking the glass door to the shower, and like violently.
And he just screams at Gordy. And then as he's leaving, because they're filming in this tiny bathroom, it's not a set, it's like an actual bathroom.
Yeah, probably at the studio or something.
You see Rip Torn like walk out of a door normally, but as he's walking, you see him shift his body to the side, and you see a shadow on him, and the shadow is like the camera, because there wasn't enough room to get the shot in the bathroom, so they had to fix it in the door.
Oh my god.
So they left in a scene of Rip Torn walking, trying to squeeze by the camera and the door to get out.
And again, I don't know if that's intentional.
I'm pretty sure it is. I think that scene is intentional. I think Tom Green, like, in editing, because Tom Green had to have been there for editing.
Probably, yeah.
Tom Green saw Rip Torn, like, shimmy out of the way, and he probably thought it was the funniest thing he saw. So, everyone goes to work. Gordy's at home. Gordy dicks around with his dad's suit. He's saying he got a job at a computer company. He got the night shift at a computer company.
And this whole time he's just singing how he's the backwards man.
Because he's wearing the suit on backwards.
For no reason.
It's funny.
He's just dicking around. One thing I want to mention before we move on past that, because a very pivotal scene happens after this. We get more screen time with his brother Freddie, who is probably the most likable person in the movie, because he's the only one that is just a human being. He's just calling out Gordy for just being a dickhead.
He's also calling out his dad, too, for being a dick.
Yeah, like, he clearly doesn't really like anyone, probably except his mom.
But his mom is also, like, kind of, like...
She's very overprotective of Gordy.
Like, she's also not all... So. She's also not, like, all there, either.
No, not... She very much feels like... Because you made the joke about it being... When they were all sitting at the breakfast table, about them being, like, a nuclear...
nuclear family,
so
like,
bad.
What is it? There's like 1.5 kids is like the nuclear family.
Yeah, and like I made the connection that like the mom looks just like that. Like she like pulled out of one of those like
1940s like commercials or ads in like a magazine where it's like, "Oh, this is the perfect family. You got the housewife, the dad that brings home all the money, stuff like that."
And it feels like that's probably what the joke was. Like like they just bring in like this like overprotective like sitcom mom, just like being trying to be a mother and like
and not to cut ahead like a lot anymore, but there's that scene where Gordy is working at the new sandwich shop later, and there's Leave It to Beaver playing. So it's like a direct parallel of, you know.
And that's paired with a very interesting scene that we'll get to, that we will definitely get to.
But it's just like it's a neat comparison to make, where it's like, you know, they have this dysfunctional family that's like from a glance, like, based on, like, you know, the mom, the dad, the two kids, you know, the perfect nuclear family.
Yeah,
but
they
it's
seem
so
like they're
dysfunctional.
supposed to be normal, but like they're just messed up. It's like I would say it's like Tom Green invading like another thing. Like he just plays himself.
This isn't a bit. I honestly think it was like supposed to be a commentary on the idea of a nuclear family. That's just how I think.
I don't know if I'd give Tom Green that. I don't think he's clever enough. I'm sure Tom Green, I'm sure you're a very pleasant man.
You're funny as fuck.
I
think so.
I don't think that is what you intended.
I wonder if Tom Green is active on Twitter. Continue.
But you know, we meet his brother. They're just going back and forth. Tom Green actually did make a funny quip about the brother. He's just saying like, "Oh yeah, you work at a bank, but you're always over here because you can't afford breakfast, so you just eat here."
Yeah, he does say that line. And
the brother just gets mad and he leaves, which is interesting. But
compared to, like, you know, if he had said that to his dad, if he had said something like that to his dad would just like go on a fucking tirade and like throw him through like a door.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because he's constantly bringing up like, he works at a bank. You don't really live here. I think that's bullshit because every instance we see of Freddie, he is just at that house. But
wait, no, I thought Freddie worked somewhere else because Derek is the one that works at the bank.
No, Freddie also works at a bank. Tom Green made a joke.
Okay.
Tom Green did make I can't even call him Gordy. He's just Tom Green. He makes a point to like point that out. But we'll come back to Freddie because he is very important. The movie is called Freddy Got Fingered after all, and we got to figure out how we got there. But after this, it was after that happened after the scuba scene, and then it was Gordy tricking his dad into thinking he had a job because he asked for money.
He asked for $50 because his dad is so proud of him. Like, oh, I'm so proud my boy got a job.
Take $100.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, okay. So he goes to visit his very sadistic girlfriend.
Masochistic, yeah.
No, I think she's sadistic because she likes the pain of. We're thinking
that's
too much.
That's masochism. That's masochism.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's just a scene of her like tied up to the bed, and he's just beating on her fucking legs. And I think he says something like, "Oh, we're gonna be late for dinner."
Probably. And then they cut to this fancy restaurant. Remember
as they say.
As one is to surmise, it is a fancy restaurant, and we see that Rip Torn and the mother, they're there on a nice date, along with the
Freddie
father
and Betty
and the little boy.
Oh, and those two.
Well, yeah, Freddie and I was going to get to them, but I would say the son and the father are the stars of this show.
Remember the son from earlier who ate shit on Freddie's LeBaron?
Get ready. Get ready. The funny's about to happen again, fellas. It's about to go down.
So, Rip Torn, being the fucking gentleman he is, says to the waiter, "Hey, where's the bathroom? I gotta." What does he say? Unload a piss? Or...
I gotta. Yeah, I have to unload a piss. Yeah, I have to unload
some piss. Unload some piss.
Yes. So, very eloquently, very, very gentlemanly. He goes to the bathroom. Well, he goes to look for the bathroom, and while we're there, Tom Green is trying to impress his girlfriend by saying he's a stockbroker. So he got like a tape recorder to simulate the sound of a phone ringing, and he just pulls out this 1980s cell phone, which we later find out is a landline.
Well, you forget to mention he's also saying, like, he's talking about his day at the office. And he's saying, "Oh, I look at these graphs. I made these graphs. These are graphs that I made on my computer. These are graphs." And then he plays a fucking a home phone, like a bell ringing ringtone.
Yeah,
And he picks up the 1980s phone.
Big ass phone.
And he's just having this fucking like fake mint down, like he's a CEO of the business, not just some like office worker. And he's just having a fucking fit about it. And his dad walks over, and he just, Rip Torn, being the eloquent actor he is, just says, "The fuck is going on here?" And then a scene I really like to point out is Tom Green says, "Oh, nothing." And then Betty says, "Who's this?" He says, "Oh, nothing, Jim." Then Jim with a J. Betty says, "Oh, who's this?" And Tom Green says, "This is little Timmy." Timmy with a T. And there's no correction made. Rip Torn doesn't correct him. It's.
I would also like to point out that Rip Torn doesn't come over because he hears his son flipping shit. He comes over because he sees the dad and the son. And the dad says, "Oh, well, hey, look, your son's over there too. Are you with him?" "What? No, he's supposed to be at the job, at the computer
at the
company."
night shift of the computer company.
Well, that doesn't really look like a night shift to me. And unknowingly he says that because he's just there trying to, enjoy his son's birthday, give him a nice night out because he's a good little boy. He deserves it. He loves his son.
I can't remember the Andy. Andy is his name. Andy Andy Malloy and Mr. Malloy.
Andy Milanakis.
Imagine if he was in this movie.
Oh God, he'd probably be great. But after this, like, Tom Green and the dad start arguing, and then it happens. The
Tom Green throws some fucking green beans at his dad because they're just like yelling and screaming, like all families do.
And then Rip Torn, at some point, he just grabs a bottle, chucks it. Tom Green dodges very, very effortlessly, but it just nails Nandy right in the face.
On his birthday, mind you, because they say it like 12 times in the scene.
This poor kid. And to the movie's credit, this is the one time it doesn't really zoom in on him. The glass just breaks on his face.
And then a waiter or like a host or something walks over to Rip Torn, and he's grabbing him by the shoulders and just shouting at him, "This is a fancy restaurant."
Yeah, both he and Tom Green are just shouting at the top of their lungs, "This is a fancy restaurant!"
Tom Green is like playing a violin poorly. He gets on top of like a bar and just shooting like seltzer water everywhere.
And then this police officer, because of course security gets called. There isn't a scene in this movie where security doesn't get called. And the security officer just comes in and just shouts, "Get off from atop of the bar, asshole!" And he just does. Everything stops.
It cuts to Tom Green getting bailed out by Betty. Like he was in jail, and then I would love to see a scene where Tom Green was in jail. Like Gordy just in jail.
Oh my God!
I would have loved to see a scene.
He's just sitting with like his hands between his legs, just looking awkwardly. And so what are you in for? I fought my dad.
And then he just has a freak out. He just like he takes all of his pants off, starts pissing and shitting all over the jail cell.
He gets like handcuffs. He just handcuffs himself to the sink and just starts screaming. And after that, there's like
it's the famous scene. This movie has a lot of famous scenes. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. Because Betty tells him to be more creative. She wants him to channel his creativity. So his parents and Freddie are all at work. So he rigs up sausages to dangle from the ceiling, and they're tied to his fingers, and he's playing the keyboard. And
in between bites, he's also drawing, and he's doing this because he makes a point, like saying, "What do you want me to do? Like, I have so much trouble. I can't just play music, draw, and eat all at the same time." And then a light bulb turns on in his like tiny skull, And this is what he does. And then the dad comes in. After the friend comes in and just doesn't really do it. Like, he puts the idea in Tom Green's head that...
No, Betty's
like,
the one that puts the idea in
dad.
Tom's
Like,
head.
your dad's a...
Oh,
well, no. I mean, when he says, "Oh man, like, I don't know if you really realize this because he's your dad, but like, your dad's a character." And it's like a light bulb, like another light bulb, a second light bulb, two of them. He's like,
my daddy's
like
a character. My daddy's a character. Just poorly playing the piano, just banging on it. My daddy's a character. My daddy's a character.
And Rip Torn comes in. He's like, "Oh wow, what's all this then? You got the sausages hanging up. I'm trying to be more creative, Dad.
I'm channeling my creativity, Daddy."
I,
Every time Tom Green says "Daddy," it does make me a little uncomfortable. That's like the one thing that makes me uncomfortable in this movie. Just Tom Green saying "Daddy."
He never says "Dad." It's either father or daddy. And then Rip Torn just fucks everything up. And the wife says, "You have to stop being so hard on him. Go outside and cool off." And what Rip Torn proceeds to do is tie the ramp that he and his friend were working on to the back of his truck, pull it out to the middle of the street, and just ram his truck right through it. And it's the loss of innocence in Tom Green's eyes. And this is the straw that broke the camel's back. This is when it happens.
Well, first he's making this point to his mom, like, "Oh, he doesn't love you. He doesn't love any of us. You should go out and sleep with all kinds of..." His mother, by the way. His mother, he's saying this to. He says, "Oh, you should go out and have sex with all kinds of men. Have sex with movie stars, with basketball players."
Honey,
and remember,
stop. He's not stupid. Stop saying these things.
And just remember that he says go out and have sex with basketball players, because that's gonna come back a little later.
Oh,
Tom Green really likes setting up punchlines that.
Oh yeah, like he's a master at setting things up and having them pay off. He's a fantastic writer, and I'm shocked that he wasn't nominated for a writing award that really recognized his achievements and not a fucking Razzie. So after this, they go to therapy. Which that was the most unrealistic thing that happened in this fucking movie.
You didn't expect that at all. You didn't expect the
mom takes them both to therapy, and the son is just unloading. He's just unloading to the therapist, saying like, I hate that he did this. He broke my rib. He calls my drawings bad. He doesn't believe in me.
You know, because Freddie is 28 in this movie. They say that a lot.
Oh
you would think that like this isn't just like a one-time thing that like just happened based on how Tom Green acts. Based on how he acts, like this has been going on for a while. Like him and his dad's like outburst. I don't understand why it took so long for them to go to therapy, but hey.
Yeah, because the movie really starts out like the dad's not really that big of a dick.
I mean, he's happy really that he's finally out of the house, but also like.
But then once he comes back home, he just fucking loses it. And you know, the dad's he's just being incredibly dismissive. I would say he is kind of being the bad guy in the situation. He's not taking any of his son's words seriously.
He's 100% the antagonist of the movie.
But then,
I'll
let you go first. I apologize.
Because, you know, like I said, this movie wasn't a joke. I believe this movie was super intentional. There is when they're at the therapy, when they're at the therapist, it starts off with a shot of a bust of Sigmund Freud. There's no way that wasn't intentional.
Oh my god! And yeah, here comes Tom Green's signature establishment. Because
he's talking about what his dad does, and he's trying to get like the therapist on his side, and he says he touches Freddie. He takes him behind the furnace in the basement, and he touches him under the pants.
This is when the roles reverse for me.
It takes over half of the movie for them to get to the naming convention of the movie in which Freddie gets fingered.
Yes, it is. The movie is named after
a throwaway joke.
A throwaway joke. And after he's, because now he and the dad are freaking out because now the therapist is completely on Gordy's side. And
his mom believes him too. Like, oh, this is the first I've heard about it.
And or like, what the fuck? You actually believe him? Yeah, this is it, Daddy. You're a molester.
You're gonna pay.
Like,
you're gonna pay.
Molester. And then he just screams.
You're gonna pay, Daddy. And he throws the Freud bust out,
screaming. And then he jumps out of the window, also screaming. But for me, this is when the roles reversed. Because don't get me wrong, Rip Torn's character is a completely detestable sack of shit, and I do think he somewhat deserves every single bad thing that happens to him in this movie, because he's a scumbag. But Gordy lying about something as severe as child molestation, and it working, completely removes all form of likability from that character. Because that's fucked up. That's bad. And then we're going to come back to Freddy now, kids.
He's at home. He's at home after a long day of work at the bank. He's sitting on the TV.
Just watching videos of surgery, as one is to do, just to unwind.
And then the therapist and the police come, and they're you know, because when they say, oh, he's touching my brother, they're like, and he says he's a child molester, the therapist is like picturing like an adolescent boy being molested.
Or like at worst, someone even younger, like elementary school age.
And when Freddy opens the door, she looks confused because it's like, oh, this guy's an adult. What the fuck?
He literally, because then they say like, oh, don't worry, you're gonna be safe now. Let's get you out of here. And he just says, no, like my dad doesn't finger me. What are you talking about? And they drag him out. And the whole time, he's just screaming, my dad doesn't finger me! I'm 25!
And he does... Yeah, I forgot he does that. And then...
This is what I brought up earlier about me doubting that he lives by himself. Because as they're dragging him out to a car that is parked in front of Freddy's parents' house. So he doesn't live alone? He doesn't just visit? He lives.
Yeah, he lives there.
Okay, but then why did Gordy say you just visit here so you can eat breakfast because you can't afford it? Is he just being a dick?
I think he's just being a dick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it then cuts to Tom Green being artsy in his room. And he's working on his arts. Rip Torn comes in, plaster drunk, and he just starts tearing shit up. And Tom Green like makes a offhand comment like, "Oh, fuck you, Dad."
Yeah, he just says, "Fuck you, Dad."
And his dad's like, "Oh, fuck me," and he just pulls down his pants, and he goes, "All right, then fuck me." And his mom walks in, I guess, carrying like some coffee or some tea for
coffee or tea for Gordy, and she sees this.
She sees Rip Torn like full ass hanging out, and he just starts like wiping his fucking ass with his drawing, saying like, "Oh yeah,
get in here, go ahead, put it in, do it gently.
Fuck your daddy," and she drops the coffee cup, and then just leaves, and he just storms off, and like pulling his pants up.
And I even made it. I'll get to 2 points. One you made, one I made. The one I made was that this guy really is just a fucking idiot, because you're being falsely accused of like fingering molesting your damn child, and you think it's just a great idea just to be a spiteful dick and just say, all right, you're gonna do this to me. Even if you're drunk, you have to know how bad that looks, and like that will make it like worse for yourself. And then you made the point, and this one's outside of the movie. You thought that Rip Torn might have been actually drunk while doing that.
It's
because I think you said at the time, like Rip Torn actually did have like an actual drinking problem.
Yeah, no, he there was because he was arrested for like public intoxication.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we made the offhand thing like, oh yeah, he was like actually like drunk and he was like getting back at Tom Green or something.
Yeah, because like Tom Green's reactions to everything,
He
it
just
did not look natural.
Because normally Tom Green like has this like fake face, like he's about to like do like a ugly cry or he's gonna freak out too. He's just looking at Rip Torn and he just says, "What the fuck are you doing, Dad?" This is the first time he says "Dad," by the way. He doesn't say "Daddy." He says, "What the fuck are you doing, Dad?"
It felt again. There was a part of this movie where it felt real, like too real, and it's weird. So after that, I think this is when he actually goes.
He visits Betty again because she's on like she's
oh
on
yeah, because Rip Torn says, "I've never been so disappointed in something in all my life," and
Betty
it fucks
is on,
with Tom Green.
Betty is on an airplane runway, like not just like some random like road. There's literally a plane taking off behind her in the background,
and she's looking up to it for like inspiration
because she's testing her rocket powered wheelchair,
yeah.
and she has everything set up. She gets ready to go. And it's a dud. And then Tom Green eloquently walks into frame, and he's like, how do you do it? How do you
go
focus?
through with being a failure?
Yeah.
Like what are you talking about? Like, I'm just trying. I'm not a failure. Don't you get it? We're wasting both of our time. We're both just losers.
Gord.
Yeah, she's just trying to plead with this person that she's in love with and wants to succeed. She's just
and suck his dick.
And suck his cock, yeah. And she's just saying, Gordy, and Tom Green, this totally likable character, Gordy, Gordy, and he's just yelling, screaming Gordy in just a condescending tone.
He's having a fucking breakdown.
All the way back to his car, and he just drives off, leaving his girlfriend dejected, looking at her wheelchair.
The same LeBaron, by the way.
The same exact LeBaron. I don't know how this car isn't fucked up or he hasn't found a way to mess it up, but it's in perfect condition. You don't even see the little kid's face on it.
No.
And
she's looking sad because he drove away. And then no transition or anything, just cuts. And where do we cut to, Hunter? We cut to the Institute for Sexually Molested Children.
An insane asylum for kids that were molested.
And it's like this happy, cheery.
It's like a fucking daycare.
But it just starts with like a little girl running through the hall, like she has a plush, she has a little teddy bear. And then she opens the door, and just kids are going fucking apeshit, hog wild, throwing shit around.
It's insanity. They're all going nuts. And then it zooms in on.
It's Freddie sitting on a couch with kids, and he's 25, mind you, and these kids at most have to be like 11 or 12 at most.
And they cut to what they're watching on the TV.
First,
two different things on the TV.
Well, no, first. The kid next to me goes, "Did your dad actually touch you?" And he's like, "What? No, he didn't." And then it cuts to the TV, and the kid just fucking puts a hand on Freddy's shoulder and says, "It's not your fault." All while
God.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is playing on the TV for these children.
And right above it, there's a. This is what Sam brought up earlier. Actually, it's playing a scene from Leave It to Beaver.
Well, no, that's the scene after. I was saying the reason why I didn't bring up like the Freddy watching like surgery, like I didn't like touch on that, is because when they're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I like to theorize that it's a commentary on like the violence and gore that kids watch and kids watch.
Yeah, like some kind of commentary on like violence in media and its effect and like its desensitization on children, because none of the kids are like reacting to what they're seeing.
They're not like freaking, because it's the torture scene where one of the girls is like being put on meat hooks. Like it's a pretty graphic scene.
It's insane. It's crazy, and it's so I don't want to give Tom Green that kind of credit, but I'll admit there's something to that. There's something there that he's trying to say that's more than a joke.
It could be like I'm thinking too much. I'm giving Tom Green too much credit, and he just wanted to put Friday or Texas Chainsaw on there because it would be fucked up.
It's just funny that children are watching that.
Yeah, it's fucked up and funny that kids are watching, a graphic fucking horror movie from the 70s. And then, so that same scene in the Institute, the kid tells Freddy, "It's not your fault," and it's just a scene where it's like the camera's behind them. You get a shot of Texas Chainsaw, and then it cuts to Tom Green working at a new sandwich restaurant because he was sad. He was sad early on. He was sad early on when, his dad told him he's a failure, and he's walking in the rain. Like, it's this really, really artsy, kind of somber shot.
Oscar moment. You could see his body language, his dejected face. He's genuinely sad. Feel sorry for Tom Green.
The all is lost moment, as some would say.
Yes.
But he passes by a restaurant, and on the sign says now hiring cheese sandwich shop experience preferred.
Yep, and as we all know, that's what he did at the beginning of the movie, is work at a cheese sandwich factory. So when it cut, he's working. Sorry, I apologize.
No, you're good.
It then cuts to him watching Leave It to Beaver again. He's trying to say something.
It has to be a commentary on their family life and like how the actual average American family is. It has to be. But then after that, like, he's at the sandwich shop and he has a pepper in his nose and he's just sniffing it. And then this very kind Italian American man, Italian American stereotype, just comes up and says, "Hey, douchebag! I ordered a cheese sandwich. There's not a lot of cheese on the sandwich." And Tom Green just freaks out and just starts piling it with cheese. And admittedly, in another funny scene, I will admit that got me. I was gonna say, you made the joke where the guy was gonna say like, while we were watching, you said, "Oh, he's gonna say like, oh, there's too much cheese on it now." But what he says instead is, "Well, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?" Oh my god! Yeah, because a lot of the non-gross out humor jokes in this movie, there's a very like direct line to where it's gonna end up, and generally it goes there. I even made the joke like I could have written this. Maybe not all the really fucked up stuff, but a lot of the simpler jokes I could have easily written it, which is very dismissive, very arrogant, but I would also dare to say very funny of me to say. And so the customer understandably gets really pissed at Gordy. Yeah, he just flips it back in his face. And it cuts back to Leave It to Beaver, still on TV. And then it immediately cuts to Gordy's mom just walking out on their dad. That has to be a fucking commentary. It has to be. It's too intentional. There's no way it was unintentional. Oh, so, I don't like that. I don't like that you're swaying me, Sam. I'm telling you. I don't want to give Tom Green credit for anything. Don't you understand? I hate this movie. So, Tom Green's mom leaves, and Rip Torn is like trying to beg her to come back. Blah blah blah. He's just a mess, and now he's just really fucking pissed now. And she just leaves. And they're like having an argument, and then Andy and Mr. Malloy are playing catch. Oh my god! They're playing catch with a baseball, and they're like, and Rip Torn and the mom, they're like arguing and they're fighting, and Andy gets so mad while they're playing catch that he just chucks the baseball at the kid. And in a normal movie, the kid would get hit in the face, and the scene would probably end. But not in Freddie Got Fingered. Not in that. It's not funny enough. It cuts to the kid, and he's like got a bloody lip. He has stitches from when the bottle hit him on the head. He has a bloody lip, and teeth are falling out of his mouth. It's
so gross, and it's bad. Oh my god!
This is gonna be the one time I intentionally parrot the Red Letter Media review, because I might have unintentionally done it. I think Tom Green was really trying to push the envelope, because you know how like a lot of movies you can't kill a kid, like that's just sort of frowned upon, and you can't really show a kid like getting fucked up.
No, you can't. There are some movies that do that. I would say some movies that do it well,
like the 1988 Rob Darabont movie, The Blob.
Yes,
was really good.
Yes,
that's one of them.
Definitely. But then you get movies that don't do it right and that come off as really fucked up, like Uwe Boll's Postal.
I knew you were gonna try to get Postal in here again.
Of course I am. Of course I'm going to. I swear to God, I'm gonna find a way to annoy Running with Scissors so much that they put me in the game. I'm gonna find a way.
Hopefully this first episode gets you there.
Oh my God, I hope so. But there's a very famous scene in Postal, the movie, and I guarantee you've seen it.
I might have.
It's at a carnival, or like some kind of German festival or something, and there's just a shootout between the Taliban and the Postal Dudes' army of bikini. No, it's not the Postal Dudes like group. It's between the Taliban and the police, and there are kids just getting mowed down. It's awful. It's so bad. And this movie, with the kid getting fucked up like that, gave me feelings of that. It was like uncomfortable to watch. It wasn't funny.
And you already knew the big payoff.
And I knew this stuff was going to happen, but actually seeing it, even within the context of the film, just seeing it happen right in front of your eyes is just fucked up, dude. It's so bad. And when we get to when we start talking about the end, I'll actually bring back up what you said about him trying to push the envelope, because I actually do think they did change something about the ending.
I know what you're going to bring up.
But after that, after the kid just gets fucked up by the baseball,
it's Gordy working in the sandwich shop. He's cleaning up,
wiping down the tables with a mop. He looks at the TV, because it's like Family Guy. You can't progress the plot without TV. No, the TV has to tell him how to learn and live his life.
He sees Betty, and she succeeded. She finally got the rocket-powered wheelchair to work. And it motivates him. It motivates him to finish his comic or his cartoon.
And then his boss comes in. I'll let you say this one.
It's played by none other than Troy McFrickin' from Max Keebler's Big Movie. And I always forget he's in this movie, because I watched this with a mutual buddy of ours, Christian. I watched this with him.
You saw it with Christian? Oh, God, you subjected Christian to this?
He wanted to watch it, but
oh, God. Okay.
We watched it early last year, and I'm pretty sure the same thing happened, where it was he showed up, and I just screamed, "Troy McGinty!" because I was so happy to see him. So he quits his job, because Tom Green can't hold a job longer than a day in this universe.
Yeah, he basically just tells his boss to fuck off. I'm a cartoonist. I draw cartoons. I'm an animator.
He goes home to get his cartoons, because he thinks of an idea, and it's nighttime in Portland.
Yeah.
And he heads to beautiful sunny California again.
Okay, so I'm actually going to do a small little callback, because I forgot I didn't bring this back up when I started looking for it. This transition does make sense, because from Portland to California, it is in fact a 12-hour drive according to Google.
And when he gets to California, he's still wearing his sandwich uniform. He hadn't showered. He's probably sleep deprived. Like, he has bags under his eyes.
Yeah, he literally drove there nonstop all night. And this was also, because I don't want to forget this, because this comes up in a little bit. He's just fighting with his dad, because his dad is just telling him, my fucking life is ruined because of you. Where are you going? I'm getting a job. No, bullshit, you're getting a job. And he just leaves. And the dad is literally follows him to try to... Well, he goes to his friend to try to find out where he is.
Because his friend is, like, leaving the bank that he works at.
Yeah. And he just starts kicking the dude. Because this is the guy that broke his leg. And
he starts kicking it in the cast.
It's awful. And he tells him where he's at.
And the cast is, like, breaking. Yeah, it's painful to watch.
But he tells him where Gordy is, and Gordy is driving back to the...
Animation studio.
Atomic Cartoons. I've already forgotten.
I think it was Atomic Cartoons.
My brain is missing.
There's a neat little callback where he's running through, you know, the ground floor to get to the boss, Dave Davidson, and you see the security guard from the beginning, and all you hear in the background is Tom Green just shout Japan 4. Like, in the beginning when he's just talking to the security guard, like, oh, Japan 4, Japan 4.
And the guard, he just lets him go, and he just looks up
just sighs.
Annoyedly. He's just like... Which I think that wasn't a reaction to the scene. I think that was the actor just going, what am I doing here?
Is this really going to be the high point of my career? Freddie Got Fingered.
Is this what I'm going to be in? Like, is this why I moved out to L.A.? This is what I'm going to be doing with my life?
So he finally has a pitch for Dave Davidson, and it's Zebras in America, where it's a
bunch of centaurs
centaurs
who all leave Africa to move to America
because the humans didn't like them because of their zebra lower half, and the zebras didn't like them because of their human upper half. And you pointed out something because they show a little animation. They show a little animation to show what the cartoon would look like. And what did you say about the people who lived in Africa, Hunter?
Okay, yeah. So he's doing after he gets it. Spoiler alert: he gets it he gets the pitch accepted and given a check for $1 million because his dad comes in because the Dave is like, what the fuck? Like, this guy doesn't exist. No one acts like this. This is unrealistic. And the dad comes in, starts throwing Tom Green everywhere, starts shouting at the executive, and has to be dragged out by security. And Dave was like, that's the best pitch I've ever had. Take this check for $1 million. But after that, they show the series. They show, like, the trailer. I guess, like, an excerpt from, like, the intro or something like that.
Like a TV reel. Like a little TV spot.
Yeah, and when they're talking about the intro, they're in Africa. And the depictions of the African people, while they do not look good, I was really expecting them to make it more racist. Like, make it really bad.
Like, I didn't like mention anything about it. But Hunter just goes, wow, those could have been way more racist.
Yeah. Because I was expecting it. The moment he said that, they were from Africa, I just went, oh no.
Like, yeah, they were stereotypes.
But I was expecting, like, minstrel, like, images.
Yeah.
Like,
knowing this movie.
But to be fair to Tom Green, he didn't go that far. But
he does have his limits.
Surprisingly so. But it shows the animation reel. It's like, it's not funny. It's intentionally not funny, but it's not funny.
It's whatever. It is whatever.
But he gets a check for, he won't stop saying it, a check for $1 million. And I made the observation that this whole time, like this whole thing between him and Dave Davidson, it felt like Tom Green pitching the idea to a movie executive, like everything that he was going to do. And when he got approved and when he was handed the check, Tom Green acted like how I imagined he would, with pure befuddlement and surprise. Like, he wasn't actually expecting it to work, and now he has to make this thing.
He was like, "Oh, wait, really? $1 million? This is mine? $1 million?"
Yes. And what does he spend?
He's actually.
And what does he spend that $1 million on?
So well, first he goes to the bank where Derek's working, and Derek's in like a neck brace and like a full body like get up. It's never explained, by the way. Like, I doubt just being kicked in the cast did that.
He probably
but it's never really explained.
He probably fucked him up more.
Yeah, probably, just to get more information out of. But he's like, he skips the long line, and he's just like telling Derek like, "Oh, I'm rich, and Derek's, knowing Tom Green in this universe, you're like in disbelief, like, no way, you're not rich.
Like, I don't want to hang out with you anymore. You and your dad are crazy.
And he shows him the check. It's like a normal check, by the way. When I first saw this movie years ago, when he said, "Oh, I've got $1 million right here," I thought he was gonna pull up like a briefcase or just like a
big game show check or something,
like a game show check or like bands, like, just like stacks of dollars. No, it's just a check. It is just a check.
A check for $1 million.
And he asks for like 100,000 of it, like in cash,
and to put the rest in his savings and checking account, which I pointed out. I said like, oh well, I thought he was just gonna blow through it. Like, that's surprisingly forward thinking and logical for this character. We will see how wrong I am in just a little bit.
So after he gets like the 100,000 or whatever in cash, everything else is in like a checkings account. It cuts to Betty's apartment, and she's sitting by a window. A very nice shot, I would add. Her sitting by the window, like writing something down at her desk. It's a good shot.
Yeah.
Tom Green is on a fucking helicopter, and he's telling her to go to the roof. And she meets him on the roof, and he just gets off the helicopter, and he's like walking up to her. And you can't hear anything because the helicopter blades are just still going. And she's going, "What? Huh?" And he's still talking. And she says, "I can't hear you." And then, because the audience, we can't hear Tom Green either. We just hear the helicopter.
It's one of the few instances. Again, I should have made a tally over how many times this movie actually made me laugh, but that was a good one. But after that, he comes up to her. He's like, I know. I remember the time I lied about being a stockbroker. Well, now I am rich now, and here's to prove it. He just pulls out a little sack and just puts just a bunch of jewels in her hand. He says, "They're jewels, Betty. They're jewels. I got you jewels. I got you jewels."
And then she says the most heartwarming thing, where it's, "I don't care if you're a liar or you're rich or you're crazy. I just want to suck your cock." And he's confused. He's like, "What?" And she goes, "I don't care if you stay at home all day or if you're poor." Or she says, "I don't care if you're poor or not. I would just want to stay at home." And yes, she does hesitate. She looks up like, "What the fuck am I doing?" She says, "I just want to stay home and suck your cock."
I feel like Marissa, that was her name, right? It was Marissa?
Marissa Cooley, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Marissa literally saw her career flash before her eyes.
Like, oh, is this all I'm going to be good for? Because I think before this, she was in Super Troopers. I think
that
was another movie.
She was in Super Troopers. And it looked like the face and tone of a woman who realized her career was over. Thankfully, it wasn't. She's still acting in TV and movies to this day, which, thank you God, she found work after this. Thank God anyone found work after this. I don't think Tom Green really found anything after this, actually.
He does, like, live shows, I think, now.
Okay, good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so she just lets him know, like, I don't care. I just want to suck your penis, Tom Green. And
they hug, and he just, like, gets back on the helicopter.
"Where are you going?" "I'm gonna see my daddy." And then we immediately cut to
Again, he doesn't say dad there. He doesn't say dad.
It has to be daddy. It has to be daddy.
Except for that one time
that moment
where he says, "What the fuck are you doing,
that
Dad?"
moment of improv where he just goes off the script and just asks a question in pure confusement. But confusement's not a word. We cut to immediately.
It's back at the home. It's back at the home.
But we're in Splinter Cell now because there's Tom Green now has a laser-guided object, and he's just cutting.
It's like a glass color.
He's
cutter.
He's cutting a circle in the glass so he can unlock the door, and he goes in, turns off all the lights.
No, the lights are already off. What's funny about the scene is like he's cutting like a circle like in every fucking spy robbery movie, and you would think like he had a suction cup to like take the glass off so it would be quiet. No. The circle literally falls, and you hear it shatter.
God. And after, he then sneaks into his father's room, and he's just standing in front of the fucking guy, and Rip Torn just jolts awake. He's like, "Who's there? I'm gonna kick your ass." And Tom Green...
Because he can't see because it's pitch black.
Even though it's really not. The moonlight's literally shining on Tom Green's, wetsuit. But...
His Sam Fisher suit.
After a bit, he pulls out a tranquilizer gun. He says, "Sweet dreams, Daddy." And he just shoots him in the neck. And then we cut to daytime. Tom Green is now trying to get part of his home taken off.
And there's a really funny scene. Do you remember what he says, Hunter?
Yeah, he pretty much just says, "Money's no object," and he just lists everything he did with his money, and now he says, "Now I have no money. Now I have no money."
I spent $100,000 on renting a helicopter. I spent $150 on jewels. I bought jewels, and the $750,000. It's here. This is the rest of my money. I have no money.
Which felt like to me, he was describing how he spent the $14 million on filming this fucking movie. That's what it felt like. It sounded like he was describing his own creative process and budgeting. Because I think it really was just $14 million flat. He didn't know how to spend $14 million, so he spent it all on bullshit and insane practical stuff and animals. It's insane. So. After that, we cut to the dad waking up.
And it's a week later. It has a little title card. It says a week later.
Which, how strong was that tranquilizer? That should have killed him. He was in a coma.
He was hooked up to an IV, because remember, he takes the IV out of his hand.
Jesus Christ. So he wakes up. He's confused about where the fuck he is. He then opens his door. And then we get another payoff scene to an earlier throwaway line.
We didn't mention it earlier, but it's after he destroys the half pipe. It's this offhand throwaway line where it says, "If this was Pakistan, you'd be sewing soccer balls since you were 4 years old."
Since you were born.
Yeah, since you were born. And where are they, Hunter?
They are in Pakistan. And Tom Green proceeds to say, "Hey, Daddy, we're in Pakistan. Let's go sew some soccer balls."
And it's funny because it's like the rest of the house is on a pickup truck, and it's just supported by a beam, just one beam.
It's literally just the part of the house where Rip Torn's bedroom is.
Because, he wakes up and he's, fucking with, the sink. And he's like, "Oh, why is there no fucking water? Oh, why did I get all this beer? What the fuck's going on?" And Rip Torn falls out of the house. The house falls. And it does, that old, 1920s, 1930s, special effects.
Yeah, he's standing right in the perfect spot, and he goes through a part of the. I don't know if he goes through the window or if it's.
I think he goes through the window,
or if the window's already out. I mean he goes through the window while there's still glass in it.
Yeah, I think he goes through the window when the glass breaks.
Okay, But yeah, he does that, and then he and Tom Green just have a big old chase scene in the middle of Pakistan, a.k.a. the Nevada desert.
Or Death Valley, or somewhere.
Somewhere that's definitely not Pakistan.
Maybe
no
it was
way.
like Utah or some shit.
Probably.
There's another payoff, another neat little payoff.
Yeah, buddy, there sure is.
So what happens, Hunter?
So
why don't you say this one?
So Tom Green gets to a tent, and there's just a big elephant there, and Rip Torn just comes up, and Tom Green is just there, fondling this elephant's second trunk. Just going to town, just saying, "Look what I can do, Daddy! Look what I learned to do!"
Oh, it's not the trunk, Hunter.
I said second trunk, Sam.
Oh, you said second trunk. I see.
Pick it up. It's another word for the elephant's massive fucking schlong.
The cock.
So he's just cranking the pipe off, and then Rip Torn's just shouting at him, saying how he's gonna kill him or kick his ass. And that load sure shoots out of that dick. It just covers.
It's like a fire hose.
It's gross too. Like, it's chunky. It is viscous. It is bad. And
you think it all goes well for Tom Green? No, the elephant fucking kicks him in the head.
And they just land next to each other, and then they have another Oscar moment where they just talk to each other. Tom Green tells him, because Rip Torn asks him, how the fuck did you do all this? I had got a job. I'm a real animator now.
They bought my cartoon
for $1 million. I did all of this for you. I did $1 million worth of stuff to make you proud of me, Daddy. And I know. And, he just goes on and talk about, like, I know we don't see eye to eye, but I did this by watching you because you do things your way, too. And they finally come to an understanding. They finally truly appreciate each other, and Rip Torn accepts Tom Green for who he is as a person, and they finally get their father-son moment, and then they're captured by terrorists.
Yep, and they're held hostage, and it's fucking global news.
And this is when we get another payoff, because we cut to the mother watching the news because she wants to make sure her son's okay, her precious son. But
Tom Green with the Jesus fade, long hair, full beard,
just gambling with the boys.
No, they were playing Russian roulette.
Oh, they were, but they were having fun.
Yeah,
they were having.
Yeah,
fun.
they were having. It's Tom Green. He can make anyone happy.
Yeah, I mean, they're just having a good old time. But we're watching the mom be worried for his son, and she's with someone. And why don't you tell us who she's with, Sam?
Well, earlier when Tom Green's having that moment with his mother, where he says you should go out and you should have sex with different men, movie star and basketball players, it cuts to Tom Green's mother in bed with Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq himself. And he's
was Shaq in Space Jam?
No, actually, yeah, he was. He was one of the basketball players that got his powers stolen, I think. But Shaq's just busting it wide open, showing him like what he learned to get to bed this woman.
He got his nipples pierced.
And I just flat out said, "Oh, Shaq, buddy, not for this."
Okay, so while we're on this topic, before we move on, what do you think is the worst Shaq role?
Oh, that's got to be Steel.
You think Steel? I was gonna say either Steel or Kazam.
Okay, I have a soft spot for Kazam.
Okay,
that's
fair.
That movie's like really dated, but like in a really funny way. It's that kind of like.
Oh, he wasn't. He was not in Space Jam, by the way.
No, he wasn't. I thought he was.
No, I thought he was too.
I legit thought he was one of the players that got his stuff stolen. Okay, whoops.
Anyways.
But yeah, no, it's Steel. Steel sucks. That movie's bad. But this, I don't even think this is on his radar for worst roles.
No.
I was entertained by Shaq just throwing it out. That was funny. Good on you, Shaquille O'Neal. I think you should have saved that for a different movie, but you got it.
So after that nice little cameo by Shaq himself,
They're saved.
It cuts. Yeah, they're saved. The movie's over. They're getting off a plane. There's signs everywhere.
And it got
Derek's.
It got my last laugh, which was Tom Green getting in the fucking car and
he gets in a limo.
The American flag just plastered behind him.
With the long hair and the full beard.
It's so fucking funny. It's
literally
funny.
like it's one of those blink and you'll miss it things because it's so quick. It doesn't hold on it. It just happens. And then everyone's cheering for them. And then there's the famous sign where it says, "When the fuck is this movie going to end?"
I missed that. That was there.
Another big fuck you to the audience.
Oh my god. Oh.
And then Hunter, because it's your favorite ongoing bit.
Oh yeah.
What
Here
is
it is?
What is the final payoff?
Good old Andy.
In this.
Good old Andy from Toy Story is going up to try to say goodbye to Tom Green or say hi to him, and he runs into the propeller blades of the airplane. And this is what I wanted to bring up because the kid just gets blood goes everywhere. The kid gets obliterated.
It's like the scene from Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Where the Nazi officer gets chopped up by the propellers.
But you hear very faintly, "I'm okay, Dad." And this was actually a really fun thing that this is the last time I'm going to bring it up. I swear to God. The Red Letter Media review.
Oh, okay.
Where I think it was Jay. He pointed out that it feels like that was ADR'd in there.
Oh, it 100% was because it sounds 100% different than any other.
And it's like mixed lower than any other audio in the film. So it's like if you don't hear it, you're not going to hear it. But if you hear it, the kid's like, okay. Because I have a feeling there was a movie executive that just said, no. You are not killing a kid.
We are fine with a kid getting a blood. We're fine with getting a kid getting a bloody nose after falling into a LeBaron, getting hit in the head with a bottle, teeth falling out from getting hit in the face with a baseball, chopped up and dying. No, we can't do that. No, you're not. This is where we draw the line. And Tom Green just probably went, fine. And just asked the kid, hey, it just held up, not even actual mic. They didn't go to a studio. The dude probably came up with like a Sony tape recorder and just said, just say you're fine. I'm okay, Dad. And just sent that in. Oh, shit, I tapped the mic. Hope that doesn't come out. But he just hands it off to the editors. And that's how the movie ends. With the kid getting, like, eviscerated by a propeller blade. But he's fine. He's fine. And then we just get cut scenes during the credits. What song is playing? What song is playing during the credits? Oh, I'm glad you asked, Sam. Why, it's Eminem's Slim Shady. The real Slim Shady. The real Slim Shady. You know why I think that that song was in there? Was he in one of his videos? No, there is a line in that song where Eminem, Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady has the line, "But it's cool for Tom Green to hump a dead moose." Oh my God, is there? Yeah, in that song. Oh, I didn't know that. So I wonder if Tom Green heard that and thought it was funny. He probably did. That's probably the only... You're right. That probably is the only reason why that's in there. And the movie's over. It's all done. We get a nice little cap off with the movie with soon-to-be divorcees Tom Green and Drew Barrymore sharing a kiss. And before that, there's a scene where it's like a blooper after the dead deer scene. Yeah. Tom Green's getting up and he's like wiping off like guts from his pants, and you can just hear him mumble, "What the fuck are we doing?" So Hunter, what did you think about Canada's masterpiece, Freddie Got Fingered? Fuck you, Sam. Fuck you for bringing this. I picked this movie for our first ever podcast.
because
I kept hounding you about it.
You've been hounding me for like ages. Ever since I started reviewing movies on my website. You were
What's
asked,
your website?
I'll plug that. We'll plug that at the end. But but you've been asking me to do Freddy Got Fingered for ages, but you wanted to watch it with me, and I can see why now because you were laughing at every reaction that I was giving.
Every reaction, and also the movie made me laugh too.
Oh my god. No, I don't like it, but I am not going to pretend that there aren't parts of this movie that aren't funny, because there legitimately is, and it mainly comes from the absurdity of it. I think a lot of the side gags are really good. I legit the middle finger guy, the American flag, Rip Torn just tossing him through like a shower door. I loved that kind of stuff. But when it came to the gross out stuff, it's fuck.
Would you say it's the worst movie you've ever seen?
No, not even close. I would.
You've seen worse.
I wouldn't even put this in a top 50. Because for me, movies, the worst movies, in my opinion, are either ones that are boring, technically incompetent, or genuinely displeasurable. This movie, there's a lot in it that made me feel uncomfortable, but not to the point where I'm hating it. I know I say I hate this movie, but I mean pure resentment toward everyone involved.
It's competent. It's 100% not boring.
No, not at all.
And it could be a lot more uncomfortable. I can think of movies off the top of my head that are way more uncomfortable than this movie ever is.
Yeah, I can too. It's competently shot, and any fuck up that's in there is either left in intentionally, or is so small that you kind of forgive it. I think you made a mention while we were watching it that the lighting and color correction was really messed up.
The color correction when Tom Green first meets Drew Barrymore, it's off. She's it seemed when it's focusing on her, it's the shots are darker, it has a blue filter on it, and when it has him in the frame, it's warmer, there's a yellow filter, just more natural lighting.
Yeah, and that feels like a mess up, because I doubt Tom Green is that forward thinking with cinematography.
Yeah. That one has to be 100% a mess up.
Yeah.
Unless the editing staff just didn't care, or they didn't I doubt they wouldn't catch it. That seems like a pretty easy thing to catch.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But let me ask you, Sam.
Yeah.
What did you think of the movie?
Oh, I love this movie.
Of course,
it's not. Okay, I will say this. I love this movie, but it's not one of my favorites. I don't even think it's in I don't even think it's in my top 10. But I do thoroughly enjoy this movie. Everything about it. There are some slow moments, I will say, especially towards the end. There are some slower moments. Because you said oh, it felt like we were watching this movie for 2 days.
Yeah, I did. I was exhausted by the time the movie was done. Physically exhausted.
There is a point for me where I hit that feeling. It's mostly the third time we see Betty, where she's on the airplane runway.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point, it felt like the movie was running a little long. I think I even asked you, when that was happening, I asked, how much longer is this? And you just said 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was just in shock. Because I didn't think there was that much story to tell with this fucking movie. So, thumbs up from you, Kuma. and thumbs down
Yep.
for me, Kumo.
Yes.
I don't recommend it. And it's not like I don't like movies like this. Like the absurdist comedy stuff. One of my favorite movies of all time is actually Hot Rod.
Oh, I love that movie. That's a great movie.
Hot Rod is fantastic, and it has, I would say, it kind of has the same kind of feeling where it's a lot of cutaways and a lot of stuff moving fast, but it's a much more like pleasant ride, and it's not gonna like disgust you or make you angry,
No.
or anything like that. It's a very good comedy, but for me, like Freddie Got Fingered was just. Like, not to, I know I keep calling it unpleasant, and I know I've called out other movies for being more unpleasant. Like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Like I said, it really isn't. But there's just parts of this movie where it was legitimately hard for me to watch it. Like, honestly. I think the gross out humor goes too far. Like, it just gets, like, either too gross or too visceral. And it's not for me. I'm sorry, Sam. It's not for me.
That's fine. This is not a movie that's for everyone.
You have to be fair, you have to have a very high Q to appreciate Freddy Got Fingered.
Oh, yeah, a higher IQ than most Rick and Morty fans.
Well, before we close off and plug all of our stupid shit, I'm actually going to surprise you with something.
Okay.
So, the gimmick for this podcast... The thing that I really envisioned is that Sam and I, we both pick a movie. We switch off each time. But
this one counts as mine. This one counts as my pick.
No.
Because
because I'm the one that suggested it, but you were the one that brought it to my attention. I count it as a neutral pick. So what I am going to suggest, Sam, I have a penny in my hand right now.
Oh,
I'm going to flip it. If it lands on tails, the next movie we watch and review is going to be my choice. But
cool.
If it lands on heads, it's going to be yours.
I was going to say, if you were going to ask me to call it, I was going to say heads, because heads always shreds.
Damn right, brother. All right. Here we go. Oh, shit. God damn it!
Is it heads?
Fuck! Yes, it's heads.
Okay.
All right, Sam. What? You don't have to say the movie on here since I kind of sprung this up.
No,
but
you're good.
if you have an idea, let me know and we'll watch it. This will be the next movie.
I do actually have an idea.
Let's hear it.
So, this has been a plan Hunter and I have talked about for a while.
Oh shit. Okay.
It's a beloved movie series of mine. We're not gonna watch the whole series.
I hope the hell not.
We're just gonna watch the first one, and that movie's gonna be Final Destination.
Okay. I know I said we were wrapping up, but I want to give some context behind that. So on my website, I didn't do it last year, but usually around like Halloween season, I do a thing called Spider Slashers. Because that's my name on like everything. I've had it since I was 14, and I'm too attached to give up that name. I'm not great with horror movies in general. I'm very easily startled, and they stress me out too much. But I used it as a vehicle to expose myself more to the genre and ease myself into it. Because there are movies that are in the horror genre that I want to see because I know they're classics. And they're like must-see titles. But one year, this may have been 2 years ago at this point where we had this idea.
It was 2019.
We were... Because Sam and I live in different states. I'm from Florida. You're from...
North Carolina.
North Carolina. I get the Carolinas confused. I forget that they're even two separate states.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
But he was... they were coming down to Florida. And we had this idea where we would watch every single Final Destination movie. Because it was your idea. And I was okay with it.
I love those movies. I love those movies with all my heart.
And I was going to go as far as to buy all of them, because the Final Destination movies are stupidly easy to find.
Oh, yeah.
Like, cheaply. I could probably buy the whole series for $5 at a Walmart bargain bin. But,
first four.
The first four?
Yeah,
okay.
The fifth one is never in any of the bundles I've checked.
Okay. Well, okay, so then $7 for all of them.
Yeah.
But it didn't really work out. We weren't really in the hotel room a lot, and we were rooming with other people, and they probably didn't feel like watching 5 Final Destination movies, so we ended up not doing it.
Especially because me and my friends, we didn't fly like I have before. We drove. So when we got there, it was super late and we were super tired.
Yes, yeah. So I'm actually glad you picked this. I'm not looking forward to it, but you reap what you sow. I sowed, and you sure as hell reaped.
Oh, yeah.
So,
just like the Grim Reaper in Final Destination.
Oh, God, help me. All right, so we're going to wrap everything up now. Since your name comes up first in the title, go ahead and plug all of your stuff. Where can everyone find you, Sam?
The only 2 places where I'm really active are on Twitter, at Stronger Kuma. That's Stronger Kuma, spelled the same way as the name on our podcast. And I also stream on Twitch very infrequently, hoping to make that more frequently, at twitch.tv/Sammy Kuma. And Hunter, where can all of these lovely people find you?
Now for me, it's the same. I'm on Twitter a lot, post a lot, because I like to talk to myself in front of people. It's twitter.com/spider/. Should have been the @ don't care. I stream occasionally. I would like to make that a more regular thing. I'm just trying to figure out what exactly I want to stream. And that's twitch.tv/spider/. And the big one, I actually have a website where I post reviews mainly for video games now, but I would like to do more movies and TV shows. Maybe TV shows, since I have a feeling the movie part's going to be relegated to this a lot of the time. And it is just straight up spiderslash.com. That's right, motherfucker. I bought the domain.
Oh my god.
Fuck the surfboard company called Spider's Lash. That's mine now. But that's gonna be it from us. Sam, do you have any final words?
I kind of wish the horse jack-off scene was a little longer, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, fuck you, Sam. Come on.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night. Go fuck yourselves.
I'm eating a chicken sandwich. No, you're not.